A new study finds only 38% of large and small businesses have a formal compensation structure guiding their pay decisions. Yet Wall Street Journal reporter Lauren Weber says as the labor market improves and as laws put a spotlight on corporate pay practices, firms are starting to rethink the way they set salaries. Lauren, what do we have?
Salaries remain one of the black boxes for employees. It's the kind of thing that it's one of those processes that they tend to not understand how their employer is coming up with decisions about how they're going to pay people. That's particularly the case with salaried jobs, so not necessarily with hourly roles, which tend to be a little bit more prescribed and consistent across employees. But, when it comes to somebody in a professional role where companies are kind of trying to place their skills and experience within a range, a lot of this is a very ad hoc process.
So is it becoming trendy then to be more transparent?
We do see, I think, a movement towards more companies trying to figure out how to do this in a more formal and consistent process. And there are a few reasons for that. One is that employees just have a lot more access to information from outside sources. You can go to Glassdoor, you can go to PayScale, put in your role in your city, and come up with a median or a range for the job that you're in. So that leads to employees asking their managers, here's what I'm seeing on the internet. Why is my salary, maybe below that? So there's more questions from employees, more calls for transparency. And then also there are concerns on the employer side that there's a lot of attention right now to pay equity issues, concerns about men and women being paid differently, possible discrimination getting inserted into the salary setting process. So I think companies realize they need to have a more defensible process to set people's compensation.
Okay. We're speaking with Lauren Weber, workplace reporter at the Wall Street Journal. Her piece is called Why There Is No Science in Your Salary. So who's doing what, for example, right now?
Well, we profiled the company GoDaddy, which is a web domain company. They do web hosting for websites. And they brought in somebody last year who had created compensation structures at a few other large employers. I mean, part of what's shocking is that very few companies, or not very few, but the majority of companies do not seem to have a formal or consistent pay process. I think that would be a surprise to a lot of employees. We found a pay scale survey that said that about 38% of companies have a formal strategy or philosophy that guides these decisions.